Hello everyone, it's Deb. How are you? Welcome to the first edition of our Love is in the Air and or Metals in Love Hop. These are both going at the same time. They're hosted by Elemental Designs and Crafting with Isabel Bori. And I am first going to show you my Love is in the Air hop item, which is to be like vintage or shabby chic kind of thing. And remember, this hop is, you either picked this or the Metals in Love or both, but whatever you pick, you have to continue along that line every week for the next 5 weeks. So February 17th through March 17th. I will have a list of all the hop participants in this video a little bit later on. I did have it in my intro video as well. I will also have all the links below this video, so please be sure to hop over to everyone else. This is the first week, February 17th. So I asked whether I should do 2 separate videos because, excuse me. Anyway, sorry, I have a cold and I had to pause to cough. I don't think you need to hear that. I asked whether I should do separate videos for Love is in the Air and Metals in Love because I have decided I'm a glutton for punishment because it's a lot of time going into this, but I wanted to do this. I'm doing both. I am doing both, guys. So I'm going to always show this in the thumbnail, but halfway through or whatever through this video, it will switch to this. And I'm telling you this because some people might only be interested in the steampunk, but others might be interested in the vintage, and some might want to watch it all. So, for this week, we were tasked with altering a hardcover book cover. And we did not have to do the entire book unless we wanted to. Well, I did not because I wouldn't have time to do all this if I did the entire book. But I'm going to be using these books, plural. I think I'm going to use them as art journals for myself throughout the year. So you may be seeing them some more throughout the year because I've decided to venture into that mixed media art journal-y stuff and just do it finally. I've been talking about it and I haven't done it. So with that said, let me show you what I used and then we'll get into what I made for this one, for the vintagey, shabby, chic-y one. Okay. I pulled out this paper pad. I have 2 sort of vintage paper pads. This is one of the 2 that I've been working from. So it's not a new pad. It's been opened and used before. So I pulled out some papers from this Primrose stack by DCWV. Lots of vintagey papers in it and some of them sort of shabby looking. I also did use a couple Stampin' Up things. I used some lovely lipstick cardstock, some Blushing Bride cardstock, and the Be Mine Stitch Framelit dies. I used 2 of those heart dies, and you'll see that in a minute. I used some pink crepe paper. Yeah, I did. I used this stencil wheel from Dollar Tree. I used the love word here. I used some of this pink. I'm almost done this, which makes me sad. I may have to budget this in sometime and get some from Paper Studio. I ran out of the pale pink, but I used some of this brighter pink floral ribbon. I used some of this Simplicity, which I think I got it Tuesday morning a year or so ago. This ribbon here, lacy, I don't know what you call that. I used some of this ribbon here. I used white gesso, which this jar's just about done now. I'm loving this stuff. I got this at Tuesday morning also last year. Oops. It's called metallic stencil paint, metallic acrylic raspberry, it says on here. Yeah, raspberry ice, and it's by Momenta. I really love that stuff. I'm addicted to it. I use some Mod Podge. I use some of this pink glitter glue by Studio G. I use a little bit of Spun Sugar Distress Stain. I can't remember if I used this or not. I used some of these hot pink roses. I think I used one light pink rose. I used a bunch of these little white pearly flowers and some of these little hearts in this pale pink, you know, the sugar glazed hearts. And I think I got these and these from overseas, which I don't buy from overseas anymore directly, guys. I have a problem with that, and I'm not going to go into that in this video. So anyway, and I used something else. Oh yes, I used this Nouveau Glimmer paste. Love this stuff. I have a couple colors in this, and I haven't used it in a while, and I forgot how much I love it. So anyway, without further ado, let me show you my book. Oh, I want to tell you first, though, the book I used is... I had to dig, and I had larger books picked out, but I hadn't read them yet, and I couldn't bring myself to use them, so I used this book, as I know I read this a while back, Say You Love Me, and I thought that was appropriate for Love is in the Air, right? So here's the book, and this is what I did. So I thought about using fabric, and I also, at a thrift store, thrift store recently, I bought these pink lacy, they're Valances curtains. It's a pair, and I got them for $2.99 for one pair, and they smell perfumey. But I couldn't get it to work on this book, so that's going to be in a future project. So anyway, this is a piece of the paper, and it actually fit perfectly going around this book. So I did that. Then here, what I did is this scallopy heart with the glitter on it is one of the Stampin' Up hearts, and then there's a lacy one underneath this with in lovely lipstick paper. But what I did is a technique that Naida Creations, N-A-I-D-A Creations here on YouTube, taught me last year when she and Isabel from Crafting with Isabel Bori and Judy Evans Parker and I got together last year. She taught a technique where we covered the front of a composition book. Well, I used crepe paper and did that same technique and put it down, and then I brushed it with this metallic raspberry ice to give it a little more shine. And then I glued down the lacy heart, and then it just didn't look enough to me, so I hot glued. I tried Mod Podge, but they weren't sticking, so I hot glued all these. I get these at Walmart, but I think you can get them other places too. These Offray roses in here. And then I put one little pink one here. Here's the love stencil word that I used the Nouveau Glimmer paste on. And then these are the sugar hearts. Here's that lacy trim I used all around, and I put the pink rose trim all the way around front and back, and then the smaller pink trim at the bottom. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. And then Deb Hendrick had gifted me, she sent me a surprise embellishment box not too long ago that looked like this, and in it, I'll just quickly show you again. She had gifted me, if I can get it open, she had gifted me a bunch of these resin pieces that she makes, and I picked out one of the dresses, and I put the metallic shimmer paint raspberry ice all over the dress. And then I took, oh, and I used silver stickles. Those were actually stickles at the waist and at the top. And I hot glued that down after it was dry as well, because that brought out the silver in the design paper here. And this is coming across really red, but it's a deep pink. I want that to show as deep pink. This camera just, I don't know, it doesn't get the colors right sometimes. All the rest of them look pretty real, except these two. This is really like a hot pink, and so is this. Anyway, so I did do a little bit, oh, and then on the edges, this was a black book, so I actually covered the edges in, I don't know, in gesso also, and then also the pink raspberry ice stuff. I did do the inside covers of both front and back, and this is another piece out of paper out of that pad. This was one of the cutouts, so I thought whoever could write their, this book belongs to or whatever here, it's going to be me probably. And then the year or whatever they want to put down here. I did make a little tag or bookmark, which I didn't put any ribbon on yet. And then all the other pages are still like they were. They'll have to be glued together. And then the back is this paper, again with another pocket and bookmark. And this is actually another piece of the paper on the front. If the book had been longer and wider, this is actually the bottom border, and the other, yeah, it's the this is the rest of this piece, and this is part of the bottom border. So I still have another piece, which I guess maybe I could make another pocket over here. I might do that. So anyway, that is my Love is in the Air project with the vintage Shabby Chic. I didn't want it to be too lacy off the bottom because I'm going to need to stand these on a shelf. And I already have a little bit of lace on the bottom, but it can curl up. It'll still stand or curl under. So yeah, that's my first book. So stay tuned if you want to see the Metals in Love section of this hop from me. And honestly guys, it's my very first ever steampunk project, so go easy on me. And I'm still actually, I think I'm doing okay with the shabby vintagey stuff, I think. But anyway, I still am learning that too, because I only just started that with the last hop I was in with Carmen and Isabel. Alright guys, talk to you soon and stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2. This is the Metals in Love part of my first week in this hop. It's a steampunk hop, and this is my very, very, very first steampunk anything. So, and as I mentioned in part 1, it had to be a altered hardcover book. So this time I had another similar size book. This time it was the Scarlet Letter that I used. So here's the cover by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And I'm sure I had read that because those two were in the same place in my house, which is where I usually have read books. Anyway, so it's going to be too hard for me to just tell you everything that I use because I use quite a lot of stuff. So let me just bring the book in and then I'll try and walk you through it. Here is the piece. I think it came out pretty good for my first time ever doing this, but you guys tell me. I've got a glare here. Let me put this up a little bit. There. I think it looks grungy, but it has a little bit of color to it as well. I was very lucky that this book was black to start with. So I did not use black gesso, but I did paint it with one coat of this Craft Smart acrylic paint, and then I sort of put a light layer of this metallic sapphire blue over it, but I didn't put a lot of that on, just a few, you know, strokes here and there. And then in some places I just took my finger. I am in love with this stuff, I have to tell you. This Nouveau embellishment mousse. It's real smooth, and I just took, it says to use a spatula or whatever, but I just took my finger and rubbed it in a few places. I like along here you can see there's some, but I actually went back over some places with a little bit of the metallic sequin black paint by Folk Art. All these I had gotten like at Walmart or somewhere like that, probably Walmart. Okay, then the next thing I did, and I did that on the front and the back, I kind of stood the book up and did that. Then the next thing I did is I actually did use a couple Stampin' Up things. I mixed this embossing paste from Stampin' Up with some of the I think I only used the regular black, but I could be wrong. I might have put a little bit of each of the blacks, metallic and regular, in with the embossing paste and stirred it up. And then I took this stencil. Actually, I lied. The next thing I did is I had to figure out the closure, and I had this buckle. I had bought a bunch of Tim Holtz ideology kind of stuff from Jenny, where one day she had a nothing but Tim Holtz sale. So I had bought this buckle closure, which you can see here. I'm not going to open it just yet. And they have brads in with it. So I had bought that and I wanted to use it, but I couldn't figure out at first what I wanted to close it with. I was having, because I wanted to use leather, but I didn't have any wide enough. Mine was all either like a 1/4 inch or like round stuff, and it wouldn't work with the buckle. And then I thought, well, I have ribbon, but I didn't want to really use ribbon with this book because I wanted it to be a little more grunge kind of thing. So I remembered I had some wire ribbon in my jewelry stash stuff. So what I used, a couple years ago, I had a big addiction to jewelrymaker.com, which is a UK television show. It's like a shopping channel, but it's all jewelry making. And when it originally started, I was hooked on it because it was almost all gemstones, but they did have stuff like this, wire mesh, and this was the graphite colored wire mesh. So I pulled that out, and it works beautifully. So I glued that down all the way around the book. I did not cover it on the back. You can see it goes across. Excuse me. So I did that next, and then I did the mix the embossing paste, and I laid this down, and I used Stampin' Up spatula. I can't get this all off, but and I went through it on the top and on the bottom. Oops. And let that dry then, and it dried pretty quickly, so that gave me some just rough texture in the background, which I thought turned out pretty good. And it's not perfect, but hey, it's steampunk, and I didn't feel like it had to be perfect. Kind of grunge. I just wanted some texture in the background. And then I had sort of I had laid stuff out, and it didn't turn out exactly as I had intended, but in like a pattern on what I wanted. So I had a general idea, but it changed a little bit. So then I thought, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if I had some embossed paper or something? So I found in my stash, if I can see that, this embossing folder by Sizzix, which is sort of circles. It's not really gears, but you know, it kind of goes with the theme. So I pulled a piece of Stampin' Up Basic Black, and I embossed, and then I cut actually what I did is I cut around some of it. Well, first I actually sprayed it with, I think what I did is I sprayed it with this Tim Holtz Distress Mica spray. I don't remember where I got this. I think online somewhere, and it's in brushed pewter. And then I actually think when that dried, I also rubbed it in a couple spots with the either the purple Nouveau mousse, or I seem to remember taking out a baby wipe because my gilder's paste is a little dry and I have to go searching for some mineral oil or some paint thinner to get these reactivated. But I used a damp baby wipe. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And I on the silver, and you can see like this spot here is real silvery. That is from the gilder's paste. Excuse me so much. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try and get through this. So anyway, that's what I did next. And I cut around some of the circles then. You can see I cut some of the circles out. And that is laid down here, sort of on the top middle. And there's another piece down here under this butterfly. Okay, so then the next main focal is this heart, and actually these two hinge things, those I actually had found at a yard sale last year, I believe. They were Tim Holtz Ideology 2. They're this grunge board. It was called Swirls Elements, oops, sorry, 94 shapes, and there's a whole sheet of hearts and stars, and they already had a swirly pattern on them. Excuse me one sec. Sorry about that. So anyway, the heart and the two hinges came out of there, and I painted 2 coats of the metallic black, I think it was metallic black, it might have been regular, on the heart. And all I did with these, because they were sort of a gray, is I sprayed them with this brushed pewter mica spray. I think they came out looking pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure that is all I did to them. I might have taken a dry brush with a little bit of black and just touched them a little bit with it to make it less shiny. And then on this, I did take some of the silver and the purple mousse, the silver, what's that stuff called? Gilder's paste, and the mousse, and brushed over them. Then, oh, and this, I laid this map thing on top, and what that was my initial idea, was to use this paper somehow. What I ended up doing is cutting a piece so I could get a whole, almost a whole circle here. And I think it's the continent of Africa, but you can't really tell. And I laid that over the textured black paper. And then I did, eventually, it was too bright, so I did, and I had done the edges, but I went over it some more dry brushed again with the black paint. And I think it was the regular, it might have been the metallic, I'm not sure. Anyway, sorry. So I had this piece of ephemera that was out of a Tim Holtz Ideology pack of acetate things that was like this. Got it on clearance somewhere for $2.97. I don't know where. I'm sorry. I used a whole pack of Sprocket Gears. So with the Sprocket Gears, what I did is I put them on. This is a Teflon sheet that I got a whole box of rolls off of Amazon a long time ago, and I forgot all about them. These Teflon sheets, pack of 3, but I cut one in half. Let me tell you, they clean up really good, because I had a big mess on here. It didn't go through. But I laid all my sprockets and gears and stuff down here, along with this Tim Holtz butterfly. And this butterfly that gifted me in that embellishment box that I got the dress form out of for the Shabby Chic one. This was also out of a Tim Holtz pack, a different pack than the Sprockets. Anyway, I laid all this and the key on the butterfly down, and I painted them. I think I painted them regular black because I didn't want them to be shiny. The only thing is, the paint didn't stick to the mat, but it did peel, like it was stuck to the back of the gears and stuff. So I had to take a needle or something sharp and toothbrush or what, toothpick, I mean, and get it out from in between the things. And then I did rub some of them once I glued them down with either the purple, yeah. So sorry. Hope I can get all the way through the rest of this now. And I forgot to mention, I think on that paper, I had used a little bit of the Tattered Angels silver, and I might have used a little bit of the purple, although I'm not sure. One of them was clogged, and I couldn't get it unclogged, and the other one I got unclogged, and it worked, so I don't remember which one. But I think that was on the paper. A couple of these little pieces of ephemera here. This says Explore, Dream, Discover, and this says All Good Things Are Wild and Free. Okay, so All Good Things Are Wild and Free. They and this piece under here, they came out of a it wasn't Tim Holtz. It was out of a pack of stuff I got from Tuesday Morning, and I think it was called Fly Things. Hang on. Firefly, sorry. Ephemera Collage Kit. I had a couple of these, and I just found a couple pieces in there that I thought that were blue, or that went with the Explore, Dream, Discover, went with the map, and Wild and Free sort of goes with flying, and then this plane was out of that vellum stuff. So that, I guess, in a nutshell. Oh, and then the butterfly, I put a little key on for his body. I'm having trouble with it staying down. The couple glues I used were Multi-Medium Matte by Ranger. I have to say, I'm not really a fan. The glue is probably fine. The bottle is not. It clogs every time I open it, reopen it to go to use it. It is clogged, and it comes out then in a string, and then it clogs again. I also used E6000, especially where I had to do metal on metal or something. I needed a little more. Oh, I used some silver metallic thread by Stampin' Up just to tie this little key down here, hanging sort of at the lock. And I needed a little more bling, so I used this gumdrop silver and waterfall stickles, and just alternated which holes of the gears or sprockets they went in. And on the butterflies, I did use more of the blue sapphire metallic paint, and I used a little purple Nouveau mousse also, but then I toned them down with the black. I put these Tim Holtz book corners on. I didn't really do anything to them. They are glued on, and then I had to take with the E6000, then I had to take my jewelry flat nose pliers and bend them over and squish them, and then wipe the glue off that oozed out. Anyway, and this little brad is not put through the book cover. It's put through this metallic ribbon, though. Spread out, and then I glued that down to the book. And then I also had found this Wire Luxe luxury knit wire. which ironically it was made in the USA, but I bought it from jewelrymaker.com from the UK. Probably got it cheaper there than I could in the US. Anyway, it had this strip of black, and although I painted the book with black paint twice on the frame here, you could still see the letters of the title were in gold, and they sort of showed through, and I didn't want that. So I put this Wirelux ribbon down. The only thing I realized is when you cut this ribbon, this is wire, and it's kind of sharp, and I did poke myself on the end. So I ended up putting some like E6000, this one still has a little bit loose, on the ends there and here, but I need to redo that one to push down the ends down, because some of the little wire pieces were falling off, and that could be a hazard to your pets and stuff, and I didn't like that. So anyway, that covers up the book, but I did hot glue it down, and I see some of the hot glue coming through. Anyway, I'll do that later. So that's it, guys. I did not do anything on the inside. I just put bookend corners on the front and back corners, and the ribbon, the wire ribbon, goes all the way around. This, I didn't punch a hole in here. I made it long because if I use this as another like art journal thing, it's going to get wider, and that way it has some room to expand. And the key is just tied on with a doubled up silver metallic thread. I wasn't sure how else to hang that, and at first I thought I'd hang it from here, and then I thought, no, I can't do that because I couldn't get it through the buckle. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry it's such a long video, but I'll try and do faster next time. So yeah, I'll put a picture at the end, and I'm also probably going to post the pictures once this video goes up on Instagram. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Please go hop along to the other participants that should be posting sometime today, which will be the 17th when it posts anyway. Not today when I made this. We're filming it. So yeah, let me know what you think. Which one do you like best? Do you like, in summary, do you like, oops, sorry, my mouse was in here, the shabby chic, or do you like the edgy steampunk one? I'm torn. I am torn. I really kind of thinking I like this one better myself. But I don't know. They both have a place. They both have a place in my heart. Alright guys, talk to you soon. Hugs, love, and peace.